yesterday?
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Well, if it's gonna be here, if we end up being in town.
Awesome. Yeah, the ceremony is here and the reception is at our house.
After the ceremony.
Yes. Janae's gonna light the chalice, but we have to extinguish it. My sister.
Okay, I guess, oh, we got 5 minutes.
Yes.
Think it'll be troublesome.
Nah, you're fine there. I usually do that too.
Tristan, have you ever been married?
This will be my first time. And only time.
Heirs.
That's the right thing to say. You guys wanna go? You guys wanna see your house? Quick too.
Hi. Yes, I'm on YouTube. As of yesterday, yep, she brought the kids home. Well, the person that she was sharing the room with was another grandchild, but apparently
Oh, yeah, cool.
really like she's really she was watching 3 kids instead of 2 a lot of the time, but didn't make a fuss about it because it's not but yeah, she said it went really well.
Yeah.
Friends, they came home and sang
Oh,
us
the
the
Apple
song.
phone's actually works well.
There.
So much better, like sometimes.
And it was actually really nice. It is the longest I've been away from my children since before.
Okay, I accept that about myself.
I've never been away from them more than a night before.
Sometimes you can't see the lights.
I didn't start missing them until about Thursday, which is
So my
surprising.
brain
I
had it,
expected
yeah.
to start missing them a lot sooner.
I suppose if I didn't get like a good signal.
Gravel.
Sounds good.
And, you know, Jared Pressure is doing all kinds of crazy things right now. You know, it's sometimes it happens the other way.
Please rise in body or spirit as we sing our gathering hymn, number 361 in the gray hymnal, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Hillsborough. We are an open and welcoming congregation, so whether you're a member, friend, or guest, we are so glad you're here. I would like to thank everyone who has made this worship celebration possible, because it truly is a labor of love. Thank you to our musicians, including our musical director, Aviva Enoch, who is not here today, to Tristan Sereni, who is standing in her absence, and to our offertory musicians, Claire Steestrulik and Alan Julik. Additionally, thank you to Amy Dark for editing and producing our printed orders of service, and thank you to AC Barrington for distributing them at the door. Thank you to our technical crew for broadcasting our service online, our RE teachers for helping guide our youngest attendees through their curricula, and the many other behind-the-scenes workers, including our building and grounds team, our finance team, our governance and ministry councils, our community outreach and fellowship teams, and of course, the rotating group of volunteers who provide our after-service coffee hour. And today, we are also very lucky to be joined by Allison Mahaley, our congregation's moderator. Today, she will share with us her sermon entitled, Falling in Love with Our Community. Before we create our sacred space and begin worship, let's take a moment to share any announcements. My only one is to please check your cell phones to ensure they are silent during the rest of our worship time together. Are there any more announcements for the good of the community?
Hello, my name is Alicia, and on behalf of the finance team, I want to encourage you to submit any requisitions that you might need reimbursement for that came from the previous fiscal year.
Can you lean into the microphone?
Down here? Okay, just like this?
Yeah.
Better? Okay, if you have any requisitions that you need reimbursement for from the previous fiscal year, which just ended at the end of June, please get them submitted so that we can write all of those checks by the end of July. Thank you.
I'm Heather. I'm standing in for Aviva since she is not able to be here. Our usual singing group, Songbirds, is canceled. It will not happen tonight.
Good morning. I'm Lou Vidal. I'm here just to mention that I have read this book. If somebody would like to now have a copy of it, please see me. Everybody know what this is?
Nope.
Tell us.
Okay. It's called Part-Time is Plenty, Thriving Without Full-Time Clergy. Should I repeat that? Part-time is plenty, thriving without full-time clergy. Basically, it tells us about what other small congregations have done with sometimes having no clergy, or a lot of times just like quarter time, maybe half time. So it's just, this is where we are. We're going to be like this for some time probably. So it's helpful to have a look at the book.
Okay, if there are no more announcements, let us now prepare for our worship time together by reminding ourselves of who we are and why we gather. We are a community of liberal, open-minded people who strive to connect with one another in love. We are a people defined by covenant, not creed. That means that we have committed to a way of being with one another rather than to a statement of belief. To that end, we support each other and represents our search for truth and light within all people. By lighting a chalice, we ritualize creating our sacred space. Please rise in body or spirit as we sing our opening hymn, number 1008 in the teal hymnal, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. Ours is a welcoming community where we find connection, a sharing community where our joys are celebrated, and a caring community where our sorrows are lessened. Each Sunday, we take some time to reflect on the concerning happenings or special events that have occurred this week among our members and friends. Some choose to share aloud, while others choose to remain silent. Here, we make room for both. For those of you who would like to share aloud, please take a moment before we begin to center yourselves and collect your thoughts so that what you share this morning is personal, heartfelt, and brief. When you are ready, please come forward, tell us your name, and share what is in your heart. When you are finished, you may release the stone into the vase on the altar. For those of you who prefer to silently acknowledge your joys and sorrows remaining in your hearts, I invite you to come to the altar and release a stone into the vase in silence while Tristan plays Spirit of Life. After he plays it through one time, you are all invited to join in singing one verse of the hymn, and the words are printed in your order of service. We hold all these things within the heart of this community, both spoken and unspoken, by remaining silent for a moment as we consider what has been shared and how we might respond. Let us close with Amen and blessed be.
Amen.
At this time, let's sing the children to their RE classes with the Children's Blessing, which is in the back of your gray hymnals.
All those sad children looked happy. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I am really excited to be speaking today, to be sharing with you a message about falling in love. Yes, I do have a prepared message. I mean, it's not like I went to a picnic instead of writing this sermon yesterday, right? I mean, who does that? Before I begin, I would like to share this quote with you. It is by Bernard de Koven, the author of many books about fun and having fun. He says, "It is neither work nor play, purpose nor purposelessness that satisfies us. It is the dance between. I chose this quote because I know the theme for July is play, and last week Heather shared a very bubbly, fun message with you all, and Tristan was the worship associate, and they're so in love. And I am so looking forward to their wedding in just a couple of weeks, and celebrating their marriage. But I think, and I think that you can see from them that love and play actually go hand in hand, so to speak. So I'm going to attempt to make that connection for you this morning, not only about being in love with another person, but rather being in love with a place. No, wait. Not really being in love with a place, it's more like being in love with an idea, or rather the idea of a place, or maybe a group of people, or the idea of a group of people. Well, never mind. Just stick with me, and maybe this will make sense eventually, I hope. So how many of you have ever been in love? Oh, great. I mean, like crazy in love. Head spinning, can't think straight love. Anybody? Good. So I know I have, at least a couple of times. And so let's just take a minute and close your eyes and try to go back to that feeling. That flippity-floppity feeling in your heart when you said, oh wow, I'm in love. Now let's share. When, where, how old were you when you first felt this feeling? Come on, anybody willing to share? Anybody? Oh, now you're all shy. All right, Heather.
2 years ago, 2 weeks from now.
That was too easy. Anybody else? Amy?
At the age of 18 and my first time away from home.
Oh, danger. Okay, oh, you better watch it.
April 21st, 1985.
April 21st?
1985. February 21st.
Good save. Okay. Well, what about recently? Like very recently? Anybody had that feeling recently?
Yes.
Share.
I have. I have met and fallen in love head over heels pretty much with Angel, who many of you have met, not all of you. And we're still kind of goofy and giddy, but it's settling down, but you know.
Okay. Anybody else willing to share?
What do you define as recent?
You define recent. We're at the UU church.
This might not be what you're looking for, but in 2010, like crazy, out of body love, just incredible. Turned out he was a psychopath.
Oh, bummer. He was a psychopath. Yeah, that's a bummer. I hate it when that happens. But it does. Anybody else more recently?
Going out for a while. Bit on a different topic, but American Father's Day, my first Father's Day, I got cards from the kids and a card from the cat.
You know, that is also falling in love. I remember when I had my first child and I was like, I didn't think I could fall in love again. And I did, right there on the spot. So, but for me, falling in love was different each time that I fell. For instance, the first time that I fell in love, it was all like, I'm just stupid over you. I wasn't able to think clearly. I would trip over my own feet. I was so distracted. And I just felt silly for being that way. But when I think about it now, I know that that was not really being in love. Not like when I fell in love with Steve, my husband, right over there. For us, the first time that I laid eyes on him, I had that flippity-floppity feeling in my chest, like, whoa, I like the looks of that guy. And then we started talking, and I found out that he was smart, thoughtful, hardworking, humble, I mean, he was ticking all the boxes that were on my list. You know, like they say, he's a keeper. And then I think that maybe it was about our second date. And he had ridden his bike to my house. We were very young. He had ridden his bike to my house, and he was using his cable lock to try to secure it out front. As he fumbled with the lock, he suddenly held it up in the air and he said, "While Jim wrestles with the great anaconda." All right, some of you know this reference. It's from Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom that came on every Sunday night when Steve and I were kids. But regardless, him pretending that his cable lock was a snake made me truly fall in love with him. What he did was hilarious and silly. It was done 100% to amuse me and make me laugh. It was a way of playing, and it was one of the many moments that reassured me that I wanted to spend my life with him. Someone who cared about making me laugh and wasn't afraid to be playful. Steve and I have known each other now for over 38 years, and he is still the person who makes me laugh the hardest. So I'm going to set this out as my thesis, that to really fall in love, you also have to be able to have fun. Does anyone else agree? Over here. Mm-hmm. So, this thesis about falling in love with a place, this place in particular, is my topic today. What would it take for us to truly fall in love with UUCH? Over the last couple of years, as new people have entered our community, I have really enjoyed watching them get that light in their eyes, the smile that comes across their face as they enter this building and they see friends, as they take their seats and they participate in our worship services. I have taken delight in hearing them talk about UUCH and the friends that they've made here, how much it means to them, and how much they love being part of this community. Many of you have brought these new people by falling in love with them. So thank you, Alicia, thank you, Heather, and thank you, Molly, who's not here today. New people come through the door. New people coming through the door and discovering UUCH for the first time is something that I myself experienced more than 2 decades ago. Back in the early 2000s, when I first started attending, I too first fell in love with the people. It was so novel to be in a group of people with whom I could truly be myself. I could share openly that I didn't believe in God or a higher power, that I was deeply dedicated to being a good person, and that I was a work in progress, and that I believed in the inherent goodness of people, and that I truly thought that if we would all embrace our own humanity just a little more deeply, the world would be a better place. So witnessing this new generation of young people seemingly have a similar experience, well, it's somewhat like seeing the world again through the eyes of a child. No offense, I'm not calling you children. I'm only making an analogy. Because by seeing things anew, we all have the possibility to become enamored with UUCH again. For me, it is through their eyes that I am discovering something that may have lost its shine for me a little bit. And through their eyes, it is truly becoming delightful for me again. And so it goes. It was here at UUCH that not only was I delighted to make new friends, I was also challenged to truly examine my capacity for compassion, my ability to be open to new ideas, and especially challenged to be more kind, more patient, more loving, and more giving. I have learned and continue to learn so much. But that alone would not be enough for me to stay committed or become as deeply involved as I have, to donate my time and to give of my money to this place if it were not also a place where I could have fun and be playful. So back in the day, one of the first things my family did outside of worship was to go to a game night at Margaret Trissolini's house. Now, I know many of you remember Margaret, but for those of you who don't, I'm pretty sure Margaret moved to North Carolina to be near her son, who unfortunately had a brain tumor and sadly died. But Margaret wanted to be close to her grandchildren, and for herself, she wanted to be part of a community. And so she joined UUCH, and shortly after the Mahaleys joined, she hosted a game night. And Steve and I took our 2 young sons, who were maybe 7 and 10 at the time. And that night, Margaret taught us a game. Now, this game involved a metal cake cover, you guys know the kind, with the handle on it, and tampons. I can't remember the name of the game or what the rules were. I just know that each of us had to hold a tampon by the string, and there was something about the timing of the cake lid, and we laughed so hard, we cried. Yeah, it was so much fun. And again, play made me fall in love with this place. But not with this place and these walls and these windows and this piece of property that's so beautiful, but with this place as an idea that there's a community here, a beloved community, filled with people with similar perspectives, who have similar desires, who have the same need to find meaning together and to be challenged to bring good things into the world, and to do it with other people who have the same good intentions. We are a community of seekers and sages. We are UUs. And as UUs, we are invited, actually almost required, to constantly rediscover what it means to be a Unitarian Universalist. We are not bound by a stagnant, unchanging doctrine. Instead, we are invited into discovery, into learning, and to experimenting with what it means to believe and how our beliefs and values are actually manifested in the world. And most importantly, we have to ask ourselves, how do we live up to that challenge? In the summer issue of UU World in 2019, our then president, Susan Frederick Gray, the president of the UUA, the big UU, editorialized, "Love is a core foundation of my religious understanding, but it is not a love that is simply an emotion, a feeling, or an expression of the bonds of loyalty felt between a group. In personal relationships, when we love someone, we wish for them the fullest unfolding and development of who they are. We wish for them freedom, safety, joy, and life. Love as a religious practice extends our compassion, solidarity, and care beyond the personal to seeking the liberation and wholeness of every person. It reminds us of our fundamental interdependence with all of life. It is this understanding of love that formed one of the most precious gifts Unitarian Universalism has given me. The gift of a religion that teaches that the work of justice is inseparable from a faith rooted in love." I'm sharing this with you because you may or may not be tuned in to the fact that as a larger denomination, we are in the middle of redefining and clarifying what our principles really are. That is what the Article 2 Commission has been working on. And just 2 weeks ago at General Assembly, we, and that includes you, we all agreed to continue revising Article 2, a revision that weaves together our current 7 principles, but arranges them as interdependence, equity, transformation, pluralism, generosity, and justice. And all of these concepts are arranged in a new configuration that centers love. Last year, when this rewriting came to my attention, I felt a little tightness in my chest because one of the things that I really love about being a UU is our 7 principles. I thought, why would you put aside our 7 principles? But then, like a good UU, I read about it, I studied it more, I thought about it, and I turned it over in my mind. And then I realized that each of our 7 principles is a nice, strong pillar, but they're not tightly bound together, and they don't really mention love. Instead, each one is somewhat freestanding, a different idea, and an idea that is good but is different from the others, and therefore it is possible, even somewhat likely, that we cannot embrace all 7 principles at the exact same time. But if we rearrange them and contextualize them around love, then it actually starts to make more sense. Rebecca Wheeler, president of the UU Fellowship of the Peninsula in Newport News, Virginia, explains it like this. The proposed Article 2 does not throw out the 7 principles, but extends and deepens how we articulate what it means to be a UU. As Unitarian Universalists, we honor the change of our earthly seasons. Now, we recognize a different turning, a fresh season within Unitarian Universalism itself. For only the second time since our association was formed in 1961 are we re-seeing, reappraising, and rewriting the statements of what it means to be UU. And this makes perfect sense, right? As we think about the transition into changing our stated principles, I want to circle back to that quote by Bernard de Koven. It is neither work nor play, purpose nor purposelessness that satisfies us. It is the dance between. Let it be a dance we do. Can I have this dance with you? Through the good times and the bad times too, can it be a dance we do? And as I started to realize that this dance was so important to our denomination, as I started really getting into the groove of this dance, I started getting that giddy feeling again, that flippity-flop feeling in my chest, like I am in love with this religion. And it's this religion that holds this place together. It is why we exist, why we worship. And it's this idea that we can all be better, do better, and know more that brings us together. It is both bigger and more important than what is contained within these walls, and more beautiful than what we have created here in this physical space. And I am in love with it. And I hope you are too. May it be so, and blessed be.
Each week, we take a monetary offering to support our social justice work in the community. Our plate collection this month goes to the Northern Orange County NAACP. You may donate by putting cash or a check in the basket. Make checks out to UUCH and put plate in the subject line. And you may also donate online by scanning the QR code in the order of service.
Shortly, we'll have a little music.
Here he comes.
My last chance. Have you announced it? This is a tune called Last Chance, for sure. And I want to just dedicate this to the guy that I learned it from, who is not doing well, Tony Spadero. And this has a real, to me, a real fun quality to it.
Please join me in our prayer of collective gratitude found in your order of service. For the love that surrounds us every morning, for the friends beside us, and for the generous gifts just received, let us be truly grateful. Please rise in body or spirit as we sing our closing hymn, number 121 in the great hymnal, We'll Build a Land.
A Web of Holy Relationships by Lynn Cox. Spirit of life, who draws us together in a web of holy relationships, make your presence known with us and in us and among us. Remind us that we are not alone in history. Ignite us with the courage of the living tradition. Remind us that we are not alone in entering the future. Anchor us with patience and perseverance. Remind us that we are not alone in our times of grief and pain. Comfort us with your Spirit, manifest in human hands and voices. Remind us that we are not alone in our joy and wonder. Inspire us to honor and extend the beauty we find in this world. Divine music of the universe, let our hearts beat in diverse and harmonious rhythms, cooperating with an everlasting dance of love. May we move with the rhythms of peace. May we move with the rhythms of compassion. May we move with the rhythms of justice. Source of stars and planets and water and land, open our hearts to all of our neighbors. Open our souls to a renewal of faith. Open our hands to join together in the work and play ahead. May it be so.
Now we will extinguish the chalice, and please join me in saying the chalice extinguishing words printed in your orders of service.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, nor the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Go in peace and blessed be.
Okay, one last thing. If you're interested in learning a game that I researched for this sermon called the Kissing Frog, just stay in the sanctuary.